Tonight, Broken Hill residents rushed to testing sites in the wake of Victoria's COVID outbreak. And a radical plan proposed to solve our region's doctor shortage.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. With Melbourne's lockdown continuing into next week, the latest COVID outbreak is causing ripples across the country. Broken Hill not immune, with increased demand for testing due to the city's closeness to Victoria. Lachlanetta has more.
COVID testing rates have climbed across the far west as hotspots continue to be added in Victoria and regional New South Wales.
We do see this pattern where there's an outbreak either within our state or interstate. We always witness increased activity in testing.
There's been 300 COVID tests across the district in the last 7 days. Both the border communities and Broken Hill have recorded an increase.
We do get visitors, and we do test, quite a number of visitors, obviously.
Broken Hill isn't classed as part of the New South Wales border bubble, meaning locals have had to comply with Victoria's stay-at-home orders, with travellers directed not to cross the Murray River. But despite our reliance on interstate healthcare, the district says there hasn't been any adverse effects on patients.
Anyone who requires a medical service in Mildura is able to access it. There is no barrier, certainly, from that point of view.
Victoria's outbreak spurred long lines for vaccinations in Melbourne. That hasn't been replicated here, but almost 700 people have visited the vaccine clinic.
Relative to some of the other districts, our uptake of AstraZeneca is quite good.
Broken Hill residents over the age of 40 can now register their interest to receive a Pfizer jab. That registration can now be done through the Service New South Wales app.
Meanwhile, South Australia's vaccine rollout has taken a big step forward, with a major employment sector now able to get the COVID shot at local clinics. The state government today confirming aged care workers will be able to access the Pfizer version. Protecting the sector had originally been the responsibility of the federal government, with that process coming under criticism in recent weeks. As of today, 20% of South Australia's aged care workers have had 1 dose, while 10% have been fully vaccinated. The Rural Doctors Association is hoping a new classification for country GPs would encourage junior doctors to move to regional South Australia. They're pushing for generalists in regional areas to be on the same level as other specialists in the field.
More than a year into the coronavirus pandemic, the need to access doctors in regional areas is greater than ever before. However, many patients are struggling to get the care they need due to the ongoing shortage of GPs in the regions. The Rural Doctors Association wants to change that, calling for regional practice to become a specialised field in its own right.
Some of the other key pillars to attracting doctors into this practice and getting them to want to train to be rural specialists is recognising this practice as a specialty.
Dr. Hall says he is pleased some juniors are showing interest in working in some of the state's most remote towns. He wants universities to do more to encourage students to leave the city.
If we take metropolitan medical students and junior doctors and give them a good experience in rural and remote practice, that they're highly likely to go back as well.
In the meantime, the member for Frome is calling for more overseas trained doctors to be recruited to cover the growing gaps.
Regional South Australia's got a real problem, and we need to be very, very conscious about that. And the federal government also need to be very, very proactive.
Rural medicine is one of the most rewarding forms of medical practice that you can perform.
Something many locals are hoping junior doctors will quickly embrace. Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Concerns remain regarding the impact of Clean Seas' proposed kingfish farm off the coast of Whyalla, despite the council allowing them to use the Point Lowly marina. Community leaders say constant monitoring of the project must be undertaken.
It's a controversial decision that's rocked the boat. After months of debate, Whyalla City Council has approved Clean Seas' bid to access the Point Lowly marina. Some locals are still concerned about what's being planned.
Recreational fishers will know today that that marina is not fit even to launch a recreational vessel, let alone an 18-metre vessel that Clean Seas proposed to use.
The member for Giles says while he supports aquaculture, it must be done in a sustainable way.
So you really need tight monitoring. There needs to be openness and transparency on the part of government and their agencies, and on the part of Clean Seas.
Mr. Antonio believes the farm will be devastating for local fish populations, including the world-famous cuttlefish.
It's not going to be an economic boon. It's going to be an economic failure when we lose our cuttlefish in 3 to 4 years' time.
However, some understand why the plan was given the green light.
If they would have rejected the proposal by Clean Seas, the minister would have stepped in and taken over the harbour, and then there would be no local input.
In a statement, Clean Seas welcomed the approval. CEO Rob Grattan says they're now focused on investing in the Fitzgerald Bay Farm and building a high-quality, sustainable industry that will create local jobs, export quality yellowtail kingfish and returns for shareholders. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
AGL has confirmed it plans to build a big renewable energy battery at Broken Hill. Under the proposal, a 50-megawatt battery would be built on Pinnacles Place, neighbouring the company's existing solar farm. AGL says the project would support grid stability and maintain electricity supplies to the Silver City. An environmental impact statement is on exhibition until the end of the month, with a community information session to follow. Still to come tonight, a new MRI machine launched in Broken Hill, but bulk billing remains an issue. And 10 Eyre Peninsula sporting clubs secure grant money. Welcome back. It's only been in use for 4 days, but operators of a new MRI machine in Broken Hill say demand has exceeded all expectations. They're now asking the federal government to make changes to allow them to bulk bill patients.
Opening the door to a new multi-million-dollar MRI machine. It may be new, but it's already getting a workout.
We've had patients, referrers, clinicians contacting us pretty much non-stop since we began.
It's one of the flagship additions to Thrive Medical Clinic. They hope it'll ease pressure on hospital services and allow those with less serious conditions to be treated in town.
A lot of us have had that lived experience being Broken Hill locals, where we've had loved ones and family members that really needed these services and couldn't get them.
We have a dedicated radiologist that is located at a branch, but will be doing their reporting, and we aim to have a very quick turnaround with our reports.
While demand for the service has been strong, the clinic can't bulk bill. They say that's because they need a specific licence from the federal government, which can only be applied for during certain periods.
It would be really nice if the government could give us dispensation to apply for such a licence out of the normal procedure.
It's understood this is also affecting operators of a second machine in Broken Hill. Member for Parks Mark Coulton says he'll continue to lobby the Federal Health Minister for a licence to be allocated to the town. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta's Joy Baloch Bridge duplication project is progressing well, according to the state government. However, with winter setting in and the changing COVID situation interstate, the build is being monitored closely. Katrina Musson has more.
The Joy Baloch Bridge duplication has passed another significant milestone with the installation of bridgehead stops. There will be 22 in total for this stage of the project, which the Infrastructure and Transport Minister says is tracking along positively.
And one of the great things about this part of the project, these headstocks are actually being constructed locally in Whyalla. So the first two are in place. We'll continue powering ahead, but everything's going exceptionally well.
However, with the COVID-19 outbreak in Victoria leaving South Australia on high alert and the wet winter weather also setting in, the Minister is warning there could be delays.
Yeah, we're keeping a really close eye on what's happening in Victoria as far as COVID is concerned, but there's nothing's been brought to my attention yet that it will cause any delays with this project. So we're really optimistic.
With multiple roadworks also rolling out across the region, motorists are being reminded to be patient and drive safe.
and we understand people, especially in the regions, are seeing a lot of roadworks underway. We know that does cause some delays and a little bit of frustration. We ask people to bear with us because we're building the infrastructure that matters to them. We're improving the roads and improving facilities.
Minister Wingard says the new section of the bridge is scheduled to open to traffic in the first half of next year, with upgrades to the existing bridge expected to be completed by late 2022.
South Australians are being reminded of the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning. 15 people have been sent to hospital in the last 12 months due to exposure to the gas. Carbon monoxide is extremely dangerous as it has no smell, taste or colour and can be fatal. Symptoms include tiredness, shortness of breath, headaches, vomiting and loss of consciousness. The MFS says gas appliances should be installed by professionals in areas with proper ventilation. 10 Eyre Peninsula sport and recreational facilities have been awarded much-needed funding by the state government. The project's set to ease the financial burden, with upgrades to ageing infrastructure a necessity.
It's been a long wait, but Port Lincoln's Hockey Club is hitting goals off the field.
Oh, this grant from the government is so important. It's a real binder for community sport, and sport's such an integral part of our of our community here in Port Lincoln.
New lighting and stormwater upgrades are among several new projects across the city. The state government pumping $24 million into recreation groups. The funds ensuring local athletes have high-level facilities.
To upgrade the facilities LED lights, meet the lux levels that will put us at the highest standard to keep our players safe.
Local golfers are also now teeing off onto lush fairways, which were watered manually in the past. The new state-of-the-art irrigation system improving turf quality.
Historically, the club has been very reliant on mains water as their primary source of water for irrigating greens.
Andrew says the upgrades will ensure an extra 4 to 5 million litres of water can be captured and used.
We're constructing another smaller dam on our third hole, which will run water from the lower section of Flinders Highway into that capture zone.
The funded facilities in the region are a part of 115 projects announced by the state government on Monday. Dylan Smith, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Port Augusta school students learn about Aboriginal history and culture. And a local aged care facility celebrates our diverse nation. Students at Seaview Christian College have jumped into National Reconciliation Week activities, helping educate them on Aboriginal history and culture. Teachers say it's important for children to understand the meaning of reconciliation.
Teaching future generations the stories of the past. Students taking action, getting involved in a range of activities focusing on Aboriginal culture as part of National Reconciliation Week.
We learned how to make damper and we did Aboriginal art on making hands, and we also did some Aboriginal games.
In one class, students learned about Aboriginal symbols and each of their meanings. This student using them to create a story.
At night time we were sitting around a campfire near our waterhole and it was raining, and then the snakes came and a woman and a man got their spear out and killed it.
Learning the importance of different types of language. She says it plays a role in communicating with others.
Because if we're talking to somebody and it's an Aboriginal person and they don't know how to talk, we can use those symbols.
Students say the activities have widened their understanding of what reconciliation means, while also getting an insight into Aboriginal history.
Remembering some people who was the First Nation people here in Australia.
Teachers say they're proud to see students fully engaged.
It's really important that our students are equipped with the opportunities to be able to create respectful and positive relationships with the traditional owners of our land.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Residents at a Port Augusta aged care home were treated to a multicultural day yesterday. Staff from Edenfield Ramsey Village organised a fun-filled day, with dancing and talks about which countries and cultures residents came from. There was even an international cuisine put on for lunch, with organisers saying the residents enjoyed the event. Fundraising from the Narelda Ramsey Auxiliary helped to pay for the decorations. With the weekend almost upon us, it's time to go around the Spencer Gulf and see what we can expect to catch when we drop a line in the water via the boat or the local jetty. Here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, bog stock standard for this time of year. Plenty of King George whiting around. Just have to sort through the sizes on those. Plenty of squid still around at the moment. You can bag out in them. Generally, the last half adds before last light is when you get your main catches drifting on the front of the shacks. A few snook around. There's lots of salmon up around Port Patterson area. And there's been a couple of little baby seals up around the top of the Gulf too, so just keep an eye out for them. There's been a couple of kingfish sighted, but not many landed. That's all we have for the Jewel of the North.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips for Port Pirie. It's been fantastic over the last couple of weeks because of that cold weather starting to settle in, and we're getting some good King George whiting around the places. Usual spots: Third Creek Hatches, Checker Buoy, Eastern Shoal, out at front at Port Davis. Plenty of places to have a good shot at them. Don't forget your squid while you're there. There's good sizes in those to be had as well. Yellowfin whiting are amazing at the moment, from Barrows Beach round to Talawi Beach. We're also finding some really fantastic salmon amongst them, so have a crack at that as well. So there's plenty of good times for fishing. The weather's going to be balmy over the weekend, so have a crack, and don't forget, take a kid fishing. We'll see you next week.
Hi everyone, it's fishing tips this week. Again, bag limits of squid coming in from the southern grounds down towards Mount Young. A little bit closer towards Whyalla has definitely been better for the larger squid. They seem to be pushing up a little bit further north. Also out on the boat, some nice sized King George whiting. Best areas to target have been the Cowlegs Landing and the Eastern Shoal, either the northern or southern end on the Eastern Shoal, both been producing fish. Down towards Point Lowly, there's been some nice schools of salmon trout, and also over towards Becky Point.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start over the Coffin Bay side. There's been plenty of activity over there. Whiting are going pretty well out in the farm beach grounds, especially in the deeper water, and there have been some nice squid and a few garfish through that area as well. Out in the blue water, there's been some nice red snapper as well as blue morwong from the reefs, and there are still some tuna up to around 10 kilos from the islands out wide of Coffin Bay. Moving over to Port Lincoln, squid have been going really well in our local bay and a good size at the moment too. There's been some garfish and a few salmon up to around about a kilo in Spalding Cove. That's it for Fishing Tips. We'll see you again next week with more tips.
Stay with us after the break. Port Augusta's foreshore hosts a community barbecue. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Hello again. Community organisations gathered at Port Augusta's Eastside Foreshore today for a special lunch. Stepping Stones Day Centre and Footsteps put on the free barbecue lunch for locals and visitors. Organisers say it's a part of bringing the community together during National Reconciliation Week, while also informing people about what services are available to them.
Especially for Footsteps, I guess it's there's not a lot known about it, whereas Stepping Stones is kind of very in the public.
National Reconciliation Week concludes today. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather across our region. With all the details on the weekend forecast, here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening, everyone. It was a wet one across our region today, but in some good news, those showers are going to start to ease across the region from now on. From 3 p.m. today, Port Lincoln topped 18 degrees, Woodner reached 17. Clare had morning fog and then showers reaching just 15. Port Augusta and Whyalla were both 18. Broken Hill was partly cloudy and reached 16. Adelaide, Kadina and Cleve were all showers and 16. Cloudy in Cooper Pedy 19 and showers in Port Pirie also 19 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, cloud over the southeast due to an approaching front is introducing a few showers. Patchy low cloud over southern and central South Australia with onshore winds is bringing the odd light shower. Skies are clearer in the far north and northeast with a dry air mass and a ridge of high pressure. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. South to southwesterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas around 1 metre increasing to 1.5 during the morning, and south to southwesterly swell below 1 metre. Port Lincoln, a morning shower or two set to reach a high of 17 degrees. Cleve, partly cloudy and 16. Similar conditions in Woodner 18. Whyalla 18. Port Port Augusta set to reach a high of 19 degrees and Kadina a morning shower 2 and 17. Showers easing in Port Pirie 18 degrees, similar conditions in Clare and partly cloudy in Broken Hill, a top of 16 degrees there. Taking a look at the weekend forecast now, and conditions are clearing up on Saturday. Showers for Port Lincoln 20 degrees there, partly cloudy conditions elsewhere. Temperatures mainly forecast to be in the high teens to low 20s. And very similar conditions on Sunday, but sunny in Cooper Pedy and 21 there. Partly cloudy again across the rest of the Gulf. Temperatures will be in the high teens and low 20s. Looking through to next week's forecast now, and the showers will return on Monday in Adelaide, Port Lincoln, Kadina, Whyalla, Port Pirie, Woodna and Port Augusta. Sunny and 22 in Cooper Pedy. Partly cloudy in Broken Hill. Not long now until we can enjoy that lovely weekend of weather, John, and that's all the weather from me for tonight. Back to you.
It's looking quite nice there. Thanks, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow night at the earlier time of 6:30 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.